The eldest son of former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau was sounding a bit like his father today. 18-year-old Justin Trudeau is now a student at a community college in Montreal. It's one of many Quebec colleges gearing up for a referendum next week on the question of Quebec's place in Canada. Justin's position is clear, but as Neil MacDonald reports, Trudeau the younger likely won't be as successful in arguing his point as was Trudeau the elder.
The result of the vote is pretty well a foregone conclusion. Most Quebec students are about as interested in federalism as they are in lawn bowling. Nonetheless, the debate is on at 31 colleges among 74,000 students. Arguing the federal case at Collège Jean Brébeuf today was the son of its most famous alumnus.
Le Canada ne chie pas sur le Québec.
Justin Trudeau and his team were lonely voices for the Confederation. Lonely and unpopular. And his opponents, who want a fast track to independence, were cheered before they'd even uttered a word. Later, with a trademark family shrug, the young Trudeau said he doesn't much care what his peers think of his views.
Everyone's got peer pressure at this age. I mean, there's pressure to smoke, there's pressure to do all sorts of stuff. And I've never been affected by peer pressure. Never.
Students at English language colleges distanced themselves from the referendum when they realized pro-independence groups were paying for it all.
French schools have not taken an unbiased view towards this referendum.
The vote is set for next week, but organizers say they have no intention of presenting the results to the Commission on Quebec's future. They say the vote will speak for itself, a simple and direct yes or no to Quebec's sovereignty. Neil MacDonald, CBC News, Montreal.
Trudeau was born in Ottawa, Canada on December 25, 1971. He is the eldest son of former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau and his wife at the time, Margaret Trudeau. His parents separated when he was only 6 years old, causing him and his younger brothers to be raised by only their father. After his younger brother, Michael Trudeau, died in an avalanche in 1998, Justin and his family started the Tukani Glacier Alpine campaign for winter sports safety. He became more involved in the Liberal Party following his father's death in the year 2000. Along with Olympian Charmaine Crooks, he co-hosted a tribute to Premier Jean Chrétien at the party's 2003 leadership convention. And he was also active in working to protect the Nahanni River in the Northwest Territories in 2005. Another interesting thing to note was that Trudeau announced his support for candidate Jared Kennedy before the 2006 convention and introduced Kennedy during the candidate's final speeches. Since arriving in Parliament, Justin has passionately advocated for greater political participation by Canada's youth, while simultaneously arguing for more government action to help young Canadians become more prepared in a more competitive, globalized world. On April 14, 2003, gathering 80.1% of 30,800 votes, Trudeau was declared the winner in the leadership elections, currently making him the leader of the political party of Canada. He is also the second child in Canadian history to be born to a servant prime minister. And if he does win the elections, when he eventually does run for prime minister, he will be the first child in Canadian history to have a father who was once prime minister and a child who became prime minister years later. He currently serves the Liberal Party's critic for youth and multiculturalism, citizenship and immigration, post-secondary education, and youth and amateur sport. Many believe that in 2007, Trudeau would run in a by-election in the Montreal riding of Entremont. Many were stunned when he did otherwise, when he chose to seek a Liberal nomination in Papineau for the next general election in 2008, and was then re-elected again in 2011. As representative for an electoral district where close to 50% of voters' mother's tongue is neither English nor French, Justin sees Papineau, rich culture diversity, as being at the forefront of both Canada's evolving identity and drive to generate social justice and prosperity for all. In terms of Justin's stance for education, he believes that the techniques learned in the educational system, and if they are Justin Trudeau has a stance on many different topics. In terms of his stance on education, he believes that if the techniques learned in the educational system are implemented in a fair society, it'll show that hard work will pay off. He says that he would make it the highest national economic priority to raise our post-secondary education rate from over 50% to 70% of Canadians. Justin Trudeau endorses the legalization of marijuana. He stated that he's been smoking pot since he became member of Parliament in 2008. and they believe that legalizing it would be the best way to keep it out of the hands of minors. His stance on Quebec nationalism is actually pretty interesting. He described it as an old idea from the 19th century and is not relevant for today's discussion. Of course, he received much criticism, most notably from Michael Ignatieff, who was then a candidate in the 2006 Liberal Party leadership election, who was promoting the recognition of Quebec as a nation. It is evident that Justin Trudeau cares strongly for the planet. And his years before politics, he worked with various environmental groups dedicated to the protection of our Canadian wilderness, supplementing his activism with graduate work in environmental geography at McGill University. So as you can tell, he's a tree hugger, and many people would love him for that. Well, as we all know, Trudeau does have potential, and that's seen through many people. The editor-in-chief of the Globe and Mail noted that Trudeau would be viewed, as few other rookie MPs are, as a potential future prime minister, and scrutinized through that lens. So it obviously shows that when there's great potential, there becomes great scrutiny and criticism. But, like he said before, he'll take that challenge easily. Another interesting fact is, during March 12th, Trudeau took part in a charity boxing match on behalf of Fight for a Cure, with Conservative Senator Patrick Brazeau, which he won in 3 rounds. Out of all the interesting quotes and statements Justin Trudeau has made, I found this one to be more interesting. I am, as many people are, inspired by Jack Layton's legacy and the way that he approached politics. I'm very, very proud that across the country in all 4 by-elections, the Liberal Party ran a positive campaign that was focused on bringing people together and not on attacking or smearing our opponents. So, it shows that he does have a sense of morals and ethics, and I personally believe he would be a great leader in Canada. Noticeable yet funny mistakes were when he called the federal environment minister Peter Kent a piece of shit, as we all know, during a heated question time debate over the Kyoto Protocol. And that was a huge mistake because Canada officially withdrew from the Kyoto Accord on that specific date, drawing pointed criticism from overseas signatories to the pact. Another funny moment was when he drove over the speed limit while his wife was about to give birth. His statement on that was, "It was wrong, I know, but sometimes you just want to get somewhere fast. Frankly, I'm of the opinion that speed limits are outdated and should be lifted across the country." That's pretty funny. Another mistake was when Mark Guénaud said that Trudeau made a rookie mistake when he appeared to suggest that at least 66% of Quebecers would need to vote for independence before the federal government would agree to negotiate succession.